right. Hey, everyone. Welcome to the No Guts, No Galaxy podcast 139. We are your host, Phil and Darren. Hey, what's going on, man? How are you?
I am doing well. It's another Wednesday, another podcast. We actually were able to do our podcast last week, which was pretty cool and unique, a different situation.
Yeah. I mean, we called it was a stream pod. It was a thing.
Streamcast? I
We
don't know. Yeah,
streamed, yeah, double
a pod
thing.
stream.
It worked. Yeah. So it was really cool having you out here. And just want to say, you know, how do I put this? Not to put any more added pressure on you,
No
but,
pressure.
NC's pretty nice, just saying. So for those that missed out, Darren was here with family last week, and it was actually really cool. We got to stream, that's up on YouTube, but also just to be able to hang out and meet his wife and his kid, and we went around and they went downtown Raleigh and did a bunch of stuff. Maybe he'll talk about that in a little bit, but just want to say thank you again to everyone who came out here and enjoyed a little bit of dual beard action, and maybe, just maybe, if they decide that is the route they want to go, we will have more of that on a daily basis. Maybe.
Well, if you, yeah, I don't think we'll get into this later, so I'll say a little bit about it now, just
All
so we
right,
can move on.
go forth.
Um, but yeah, actually, the official discussion has happened, and so we have chosen North Carolina.
Oh, snap.
Yeah, I mean that's the first actually Phil has heard the 100%. Now it's just a matter of logistics and a matter of basically we want to move like in a month and 2 weeks, a month and a half, a little less than a month and a half. And it's going to be whether or not we can make the logistics happen before the summer, essentially, or at the beginning of the summer, because we don't want to really move in the middle of the summer if we don't have to. So it's either real quick or maybe waiting until the fall. I don't know. So it's logistics time now. I'm doing a lot of work trying to figure out how we can work it out. But I think it was a good preview for what may be to come.
Yeah.
Later this year.
And of course, some plans just to sort of interject there. If he does come out
Yep.
here, we will be looking at getting an office, a studio of some sorts, and doing basically what you saw last. Oh my God, look at that thing. That's not even. Put your soup bowl down, dude. You're not supposed to be eating. God Almighty. It's, well, okay, so you're drinking coffee. I brought this up. What am I drinking? I'm drinking. I actually had two of these last night. They're the Leinenkugel Summer Shandies. This is actually a grapefruit one, which I'm not a big grapefruit fan, but these are delicious. Nice. Anyways, that's what I'm drinking. So, anyways, we have a podcast and stuff to talk about.
We do.
So,
Yeah, basically what you can expect when we do move out there is a lot more of everything, including we'll be doing tabletop and just, random podcasts about other, I don't know. We have so many things on the table. Lots to come. But yeah, let's get into today's
today,
topics.
and today is April 20th, 2016, which I didn't finish. That was like the first time. Anyways,
I
so
had quite a few happy 420 days when I woke up this morning.
oh yeah, it is. God, you
420.
potheads. God, I didn't even. I was like, why is stuff on? Oh, that makes sense now.
Ah,
Oh, yeah. So, a few things. Big patch came out yesterday. Wasn't a big like patch, like download size, but content and discussion wise, it came out. Now, guys, we're gonna do our best to sort of talk about things that we have experienced within the last 24 hours. This isn't necessarily an all-around look at community warfare and a lot of the changes that came to. I've talked to you guys last night while I was doing the freelancer stuff, and there's things that we still need to experience. But before we get there, we had two things I want to bring up. One that I think is actually sort of important, more so, is the tournament support pack thing. The reason I bring this up is they changed it where it was just XP before, now it has a 10% C-bill boost. The only reason, so you may be like, wow, Phil, can you shill any harder? Just keep this in mind. Instead of paying X amount for premium time for 30 days, you can buy the support pack, which, by the way, helps support the tourney, and it goes all the way to the December 3rd. Like, I don't, like, let's just say you played, what, however many hours a week, how many months. Anyways, it's a really good value. It stacks on top of everything, and if you want to help support, I'm sure the guys tournament and all that will really appreciate it too. So, and that updates, by the way, Darren, you pointed that to me, the prize pool
yeah, I'm trying
updates.
to get to that page. Well, and actually something really cool about that, you're saying that the C-bill bonus as well, is that was 100% done because of community input. So that's, to me, that's actually a big thing. We want more value in this. You got more value in it. And yeah, first of all, amazing war horn. As soon as I heard that war horn, literally, boom, I was over there buying it. And then, yeah, and it supports the tournament, and it is updated live. I'm trying to find that page real quick.
All right, is that what you're trying to do?
Yeah, they
Yeah.
moved it.
All right, and anyways, just want to get that second thing on our announcements is the Cyclops. Not necessarily that it's up for pre-order, but just for the fact of Alex has once again taken a very, very ugly, not albeit very
Hey, man.
unique looking mech, the Cyclops, and turned
Some
it
mech
into
with character.
he's MWFI'd it, which of course it's just every single time we see a new mech, it's like it doesn't look like the pile of garbage that was before, but also I mean I can still appreciate the fugliness of like some of the original, right? Like even you said, Darren, you said there's something we grew up with these and we were okay with them, which I totally agree with. But definitely when you see the side by side comparisons, your old sort of nostalgia sort of wavers because you're like, that looks cool. And anyways,
Agreed.
G-Man just posted up his sort of like this is what I'm excited for the Cyclops 4 article. It's over on our forum, so make sure to check that out and yell at G-Man if you think he's completely wrong. So yeah, anyways, those two things.
I did find the page that updates real time. There's now 146 teams registered, which
All
is twice the number of MRBC's most recent season, which was their biggest. Not to compare it to MRBC, just giving you, some idea of how big it is. And then the prize pool is up to now a little over 108,415. That's about almost 1,700 of these packs have been purchased so far. And each time a pack is purchased, $5 goes into the prize pool. So pretty cool. It's neat seeing it go up in real time.
Even if you don't like, in all honesty, even if you don't give a shit about the tournament, getting a 10% boost for that over that course, like it's actually like better than just buying premium. Like,
Yep.
it's just, and they all stack, so awesome. So there's that. So those are sort of two things that stood out. The third thing, obviously, is sort of the discussion topic, which is we did have a big patch come out. CW3 is here. What is our experiences so far? You guys actually got to see me participate in it yesterday, which was just freelancer. Now, Darren, I talked to you. There was a few glaring things as soon as I started, and it was even on the stream. So let's just talk about it. One of them was,
Wait, real quick, before
yes,
we get into that.
yep,
I do want to reiterate, this is basically a Phil and Darren reaction video. Like he did touch on real quick there, our experiences is limited. He was mostly, I think, or all a freelancer.
all freelancer, yeah.
Yeah, I did freelancer and Merc. We did not do any loyalist. We didn't do the regular community warfare drops, or at least I didn't. You did a couple maybe or something like that?
Well, I did solos all last night, which was the 4v4 scouts, but I did
Right.
catch a solo against a loyalist group. Now,
Yeah, so very limited experience, and it's been out a day, so
and
that's what it is.
on top of that, we will be diving into some of you guys are bringing up the I can't get over that fucking mug, dude. That's it's ridiculous. All right, so
It tastes as good as it
one of the
looks.
one of the things CW3 dropped on. Now, one of my main concerns that popped up instantaneously once I clicked on faction warfare was
And you were ready to go.
I was ready to go. You have no idea if you're a new player. It gives you absolutely no warning of what to do, and you click on all these battles going on, but it doesn't give you an option to play and participate. But what's a little bit confusing, if you didn't know, if you were a brand new player coming in here and you still saw quick play and you clicked on it and it drops you in the queue and you're like, oh yeah, I'm playing in community warfare, but you're not. So one of the things that popped in was there needs to be some type of thing telling you what that means. Now, if you read the description, it says you can only do call to arms. But again, let's backtrack here. It doesn't show you what a call to arms looks like. Second of all, call to arms is so tiny in the bottom right hand of my screen, and I'm at 1440p, that, again, if you didn't know what it was, it would be right over your head. So my main concerns would be if you have new players or veteran players that have never played CW came in here and they didn't have an outside influence or a Twitch chat to say, hey, Phil, don't be an idiot. Look, it's right there, or this is how it works.
But now keep in mind that they only know that it was there and call you an idiot because they went through the same process just an hour earlier to try and figure out. Now, I've watched probably half a dozen people go through that process, get in there, looking at the you can be a freelancer, mercenary, or loyalist, and they go, well, I'm not going to form a unit right now, I'm not in one, whatever, I'll be a freelancer. And I watch them do that process of trying to figure out, well, how are they going to get into a match. And evident, or every time they do read freelancer, oh, okay, I have to wait for a call to arms, and they eventually get there. But yeah, I totally agree, more visual cues. And that actually goes further, more visual cues into the actual matches, the scout matches, in my opinion, but we'll get there when we get there. But yeah, I definitely think there needs to be more visual cues, walking people for the first time in community warfare through those steps, what they need to do to get, because really you want to get in there and you want to get into some queue right away, put me in, and I'll figure it out as I go. But you can't even really do that without kind of slowing down, taking a step back, reading everything. It
And
would be nice to make that a little bit easier.
Capper says, well, new players shouldn't be diving into CW. This had nothing. I wasn't a new player. I'm not a brand new player, and it was
Well, people
still
are going to anyway. You can't
yeah.
stop
But
that.
and even then, it's still for a veteran player.
Right.
Like you
Exactly.
expect, oh, freelancer. You got all these anyway. So not to be negative here, but it's just one of those things where those are, to me, those are quick actual fixes,
Yeah, and I'm
and it'll
sure they will
help.
be.
And so, okay, so the next thing, definitely, I sort of pointed out was the call to arms. Very, very small, and the window of opportunity is like, if
You
I
got to be
literally,
hovering
because
your mouse
I,
over it, right?
yeah, I have my chat over here on this screen. If I'm looking
Yeah.
at this, boom, I missed it. There's no audio. There's barely a visual cue. That needs to be updated. And then the next thing is, so okay, we got past this. The I was a little confused because I was expecting freelancer solo to be just sort of dropped into a queue. Like for instance, not a queue like a waiting list, or like to just be able to say, I don't care who I play for, I just want to play. I mean, that's sort of the idea, right? And if I click on the faction warfare, and if I'm a freelancer, I don't care if I'm playing for clan or IS. I'm just there to work on
Get some
leaderboards, have
action.
some fun, 4v4, scout, whatever, or even the big battles. And I just felt like I should just be able to click play, and it just drops me and uses me and does whatever it wants with me. But the only problem is I kept waiting around for these, call to arms. And I feel like there could be a better use for that, because all you are really as a freelancer is you're supplemental to loyalist solos, right? Because loyalist solos are kicking off battles, doing all that, and then hey, when we don't have enough or whatever, it sort of snaps you in. So I felt like that could definitely be, fixed. But let's go and dive into my experiences so far. Um, all right, I'll ask you, I guess.
Yeah.
You participated in the scout. Did you like
I,
it? Like,
yeah.
did you just
I only
like it?
did
Did
the
you have a good
scouting missions.
experience? Did you like it? Did you want to come back and play?
Yeah. I mean, I only played probably, I don't know, not 4.5 hours, probably a couple hours. I had a huge variance of, types of drops where basically, we were learning the ropes, learning what works, doesn't work. Like, for example, when you're defending, forget going, most of the time, obviously there's exceptions to every rule, but forget going after the data points, just go attack, kill them. We finally learned that or whatever. Um, and then when you're on the offensive, it's really about the team that you're with and how it plays out. I heard a lot of things, and that's the thing. I think it's really important for people to experience before they start expressing their opinions, because I did talk to a lot of people who gave me their opinion for 20 minutes, and then I find out they didn't even drop any matches. There's a lot of people watching videos, for example, long tom videos or whatever, and coming to conclusions. But which those conclusions may be totally appropriate, but I think you do need to experience. Like, I was expecting nothing, because I'm IS, nothing but street crows on the other side. According to all the Skype channels I was monitoring and
Yeah.
forums and Reddit, I was expecting nothing but street crows. I saw a few. I mean, literally not even, it was way more other types of builds. I don't know why. That was just my experience, but I'm not saying the build, the whole idea of the build, the tonnage, everything is perfect or anything like that. But your question, what was my reaction? Did I have fun? Yes, it's something new, it's something different, and for me, what I saw is that it's a foundation. Like, I feel, okay, now this is really cool. This is different. We could do something with this,
Yeah.
and the numbers, they're placeholders. Don't get all crazy about numbers necessarily. Everything is open to balance. If you haven't learned anything about MWO and PGI is that they're open to balancing things if there's something that is not working correctly. And what that takes is feedback. This right here, what we're doing, you guys in chat, what you say, your opinions matter. I've heard some of the best suggestions actually over the last day and a half from the community, just experiencing, going, yeah, this is really cool, but I'd like to see this, like, for example, the in-game visual cues for whether you're attacking, defending, whatever. So my experience was a positive one. I see some issues, no doubt about it.
Well,
And I see some
let's go dive
updates
in
to
here
throw in.
because
Yep.
I feel like the specifics here. So
Oh, and I did not, like I said, I'm going to reiterate, I did not personally experience a long Tom.
So when it comes down to the first thing when you drop is you have these intel points that if you're attacker defender, you can run up and download the information. And there's X amount on per team, generally around 11 or so. And if you're attacker defender, it depends on when you hit those. It'll either it'll engage a drop ship to come in and pick up the attackers. And you basically, just like you said, if you're defenders, you're more focused on finding and killing the enemy mechs. But that also just depends. And if you're attackers, you're more interested in getting the intel points up to a certain point, calling in your dropships and GTFOing, right? And you also get some added advantage of the dropship firepower. But there's a few things here. Is I felt like it played better on certain maps. The bigger the maps, Force Colony, you had a lot more interaction to go and actually get the intel points. River City, like even last night, was almost instantly in the fight because even though it's a big map, there's not as much avenues to go around without. So it basically goes down to just find the enemies, kill the enemies on River City. Whereas on like Polar, Forest Colony, it was big enough to where you can maneuver, you can use that speed and maneuverability. So I felt like that was key, and I feel like some maps, the intel needs to be more capture points or less of or something needs to happen on some of those where space is limited. Like River City, I feel like it could still work because I felt like, but it's just one of those things where I feel like it just needs to be adjusted. Another thing
Yeah.
was what mechs were being taken. What was really cool about dropping Freelancer is VoIP. I used it all night and was well received. And this was by myself with no group, no one else on comms with me. There was a few times we sync dropped me and Opie and a few other people. But for the most part, people were very respectful. I never had any issues.
Do
I
you know
had
how unique that is to MWO?
it, yeah, yeah.
That's a very unique aspect to MWO. Just something I was talking to somebody about last night. The fact that you can literally get in there, I mean, because of voice comms and because of the people that play the game, you can actually do that. It does happen, and I've seen you do it. I
So
just love that.
So Malgus brings up a point. PGI
More
needs to make
visual
it
cues.
clear to know which, if
Yes.
you're attacker or defender. Well, the first thing popped in my mind is if you're in the dropship at the very beginning, you're attacking. You're scout. You're the scouts. If you're on the ground and you're not in dropship, you're the defender for the 4v4
But
scout
that's
mode.
learned. Like, I do
Yes.
feel there needs to
Yes.
be more visual cues, and that's
Yes.
what I was getting at earlier. Like, you have to listen to the dropship pilot, otherwise you're like, wait, what are we doing now? What are
Yeah.
we supposed? And
Yeah.
I saw that happening over and
And
over and
and
over again.
so what I was doing, I was even doing it today. I was dropping. I wasn't streaming it, but I was dropping, and is talking to your like friendlies. Like so, when we were attacking well, one I was rolling around in cicadas. Someone was like, "Oh, well, you got to have 8 mechs." I have like 6 cicada. I was doing all cicada deck, and it was fantastic. And I'm gonna do an all Shadowcat deck. That's all I'm gonna do. So yes, you do have to have a few mechs ready because not a scout. You will need 1 mech. And by the way, the cool thing is when you drop into the queue for these, you actually know what map you're gonna get. You can switch your mech depending on the map. So that is actually
If
really
you're
cool.
quick.
If you're
Yeah.
quick, yes.
Breaking news here. Analog Botanist just posted there is a hotfix scheduled for tomorrow. That's April 21st. And this is the first hotfix since the patch went up. And I would say you can, potentially expect more, as well as changes in the May patch. But there is a hotfix plan for tomorrow.
I'll have to look at those. One of the problems I did run into yesterday, which was, and someone, if you can read through it, which was, um, out of all the matches I did last night as a freelancer, I got one normal CW match. Like, what wasn't a scout? It was a regular. So actually, we were defenders, and it was interesting because my team was all freelancers, not one loyalist. But we dropped against a 12-man solo Davian loyalist group. So which means they weren't on TeamSpeak necessarily. They could have been, but they also had VoIP. It was one of those things where I really enjoyed it. Now it was one of those where, like, skill level wise, I realized I was probably at the top there. But just listening to the comms, people were saying, at the someone was like, "Hey, what do we do? I've never played this." And I just said, "Hey, let's go to Alpha Gate. Keep eyes on Bravo Gate. Watch the turrets. They're gonna shoot our generators. Watch." And if you were there listening, it was fantastic because you had people that were like, Roger that, keeping eyes, letting, and hey, what do we do now? And, being able to say, okay, hey, let's press out this or that. Now, granted, yes, some out there that are experienced CW in the big groups and stuff, and you're like, oh, that's nothing. But just from a casual player's perspective, where, let's be
Dude,
honest, the majority of players are casual players. So it was just really cool to see and listen to people
do you know
that
how many
coordinate.
solo, drops and even group drops I'm in where everybody is just quiet, and especially solo. And all I'm thinking sometimes is all it takes is one person to speak up right now, take command, and that can change everything for this match. And yeah, I see you do that all the time. It really just does take somebody stepping forward, and communication is just so OP and so much more fun. It's really the Mech Warrior
I
experience, in
mean,
my opinion.
and I saw this even, I think it was Monday. I was streaming, and another streamer, Sater, me and him dropped in a match, and he actually just sort of took charge. Now, it was one of those things where he was very gruff about it. He was to the point, but he at least did it. And, we
Yep.
won. Now, we could have lost, and people could have been like, oh, but it's always easy to point the finger, right? But, it's one of those taking charge, and if you win, you win, you lose, you lose. At the end of the day, at least someone's trying. So when,
Hey, dude,
yes.
I always give my respect to people who try. There's people who are going to have irritating voices to listen to. There's going to be people that have maybe poor tactics because they're learning whatever, but I always give props to people that at least try, because that's way more than the people that aren't, which
So
mostly includes me, most of the time.
Ordelis says, was going to drop scouting, but I'm worried about bringing an IS light to fight nothing but clan mediums. One, out of all the matches I had last night, I only had like 2 clan battles, by the way. The majority of cold arms I had as a freelancer were actually IS. Liao and Davion borders were hot, by the way. There were cold arms left and
Hmm.
right. Karita, and so it was one of those where I actually didn't have many clan fights. So, what are my
Of the clan fights you did have, what did you see?
um, I was in my Shadowcat. I saw your normal street crows, Arctic cheetahs. Um, let's see. Didn't see any. I mean, that was pretty much Jenner two
That's pretty it,
Cs.
huh?
Jenner two Cs. Obviously,
I
the
saw some
splat
Hunchy
versions.
2Cs.
I saw
Yeah.
a few of those, yeah. But it was one of those where someone, oh, street crows are everywhere, and then you talk to players, and they're like, yeah, just bring a griffin, and it's gonna tear it a new asshole, right? And it's one of those where I just feel that with anything, there's always a counter to something. Now, I did run a match earlier
Mostly, yes.
today, and it was a clan drop, and I had a Shadowcat, and we had very light. I think we had at the end of the day, I can't remember what we necessarily, but they had 2 street crows, an Arctic cheetah. I think this was actually Dave. I think that's what he was talking about on Twitter. He said, "I survived Shanlang," and we had legged one of the storm crows, took it out, destroyed the other storm crow, but they were both street crows, so they but I couldn't kill the Arctic cheetah quick enough because he was under the dropship. It was firing on me, and it just outcapped us. But it was one of those things where we just engaged him at range, took out the leg of one of the storm crows, and puts it out of the fight and stuff. So, anyways, there's reasons and rhymes. I think what Ordelis, the real question is some maps it's easier to avoid some of those mechs. Like, for instance, if you're in a lighter IS mech, you can outrun that storm crow, street crow, even if it's there. The problem is on maps like River City, where you can't outrun, because there's choke points and they're going to catch you eventually. And then what can you do? You can't really do anything. So I think it comes down to the individual maps have to be sort of played and tweaked where the intel points are. And, because really that's the
Individual
roles.
map
Yeah.
strategies or map meta or whatever. Yeah, I mean that's, and which is fine. Different maps play differently, and maybe maps that play differently can also, the game mode could be adjusted accordingly to each map or whatever, to make it a little bit a more unique experience or whatever. It's funny, I love this community because whenever we get a big patch or any significant changes, it's just the divide is so real. You just watch, you can watch Russ's Twitter or our Twitter or Reddit or whatever, and you've got people just saying it's the best thing that's ever happened, and you've got people on the other side saying RIP MWO, and and it's just hilarious. I love it. It's so much
Well,
passion.
with the attack and defend too is you don't. There's a what I like about it too is it's something new, it's something different, but it's more strategy than just necessarily always kill the enemy. And
Yeah, it's not
because
skirmish,
just like TK said,
or it doesn't have to be.
technically you can get enough intel points, but they can't get back to their dropship. Or like last night, we legged a Kintaro, and their dropship was coming. So it basically, he was too far away where he couldn't get back to the fight. And I did that on purpose because
Yep.
we'd have just probably got raffle stomped. So strategically taking one of the mechs out and
There
then
was a lot of
moving the
lagging
fight.
happening yesterday.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. And then on top of that too is like, oh, like Locust. Like I've seen a lot of Pirates Banes. The ECM is fantastic, right? And the speed is fantastic. But the only problem is it's still Locust. Well, then would a Firestarter be better? You know, and then what about taking Shadowhawks and Griffins out there again? What about taking those 55 tonners that have good amount of speed, have the survivability, and can pack a little bit of punch? And I saw over and over, kept running into people that were like, "Oh man, yeah, I wiped the floor with those street crows, and I was into my hunchback, or I was in my, just because they got overconfident, and they're like, oh yeah, But I enjoyed it. My overall just experience last night was enjoyment. I enjoyed the matches. I enjoyed the communication. I did feel that, from a personal like skill level, I did feel sometimes that like I was like, they shouldn't be taking that build, and it was sort of easy, but we're all in the same playing field, right? Everyone's solo. You could go up against really good players, but the one thing that cued in my mind was my experience as a freelancer doing scout missions will be different than if I'm doing it with units. And that's sort of what I was asking people today on TeamSpeak and stuff was how are you in, how do you how is your experience? Is it a little bit more difficult? Because as soon as you get in the group queue doing scouts, the fights are going to be tougher because you make one mistake, they're going to capitalize, and it's going to be more towards the focus of the fight. What strategies are they using to make the intel points even worth it or not? Is it just just go for the mechs as well? So it'll be interesting, sort of seeing.
Oh,
Um,
and by the way,
what?
if anybody hasn't picked up on it, yeah, Phil and I are playing, community warfare. This is something we're gonna build on. We don't even know exactly how we're gonna do it. We're kind of discussing, how we're gonna get involved, what units we're gonna play. Are we forming our own unit? Are we gonna, inviting people in? Are we gonna be joining other units like an embedded reporter or whatever? What you're saying, organized groups, four-mans or whatever. I want to drop some of those. I want to get more experiences. I want to do the regular community warfare drops now that we're able to. So we're kind of talking about that. We may do something together. We may do some stuff separately, but we're definitely going to be experiencing community warfare as much as we can now.
And I talked about this on the stream last night, which was I see an opportunity for the masses, and let's just say the NGNG community. Let's just say you're watching right now. You don't participate in CW. You just think but you don't like dropping solo, and you want to experience some stuff. So what I look at it is, if you have potentially hundreds, if not thousands, of individual pilots out there, could you use them to help influence the outcome of certain situations? Like, could you band them together for a cause to help fight this batch, this planet, or this defend or attack this? And the first thing that popped in my mind was sort of the red versus blue in on EVE Online, which was it's faction warfare, and you had these two things that were sort of loosely. They had a little bit of organization and stuff, but it was for the fact of it helps get potentially a lot of people together to help certain battles. So, anyways, that sort of popped in my head, and we talked about what are the benefits of going to loyalist, creating a merc unit, and stuff like that. So we'll let you guys know because I know there's actually a lot of people that said they would like to actually join. So I think we'll have to.
We'll see. Yeah, we're
Yeah.
gonna keep talking about it.
But let's see, what else do we got? As far as CW, obviously there were some problems with the long tom. I saw that. Didn't get to experience it. I did get one normal CW match. We were defenders, and like I said, it was just really nice from a solo perspective. I didn't. At no point did I feel like I lost control of the. Like I lost control of the outcome of the match because I was out coordinated. Like I never that was one of the problems that we had in CW previously, which is you drop and you see a bunch of people with unit tags, and there's a 4-man, there's a 6-man, there's an 8-man, there's a 12-man, you might as well just kiss your ass goodbye. At least I felt when I dropped that we were on level playing field. Even though there were 12 Davians on the other team, they're all solo, which means they're having to fight the same difficulties we have, which is their builds may not be coordinated. The leadership and target calling may not be spot on. At least all of that was on level playing ground, and so I felt good about that. So solo and group. Now the problems I'm seeing or I'm hearing is that potentially because these solo players have been pulled out, that some of the groups are having longer wait times. Now the first thing I want to say is it's because you're not having any scapegoats and like puppies to beat down, right? And that's what the solo players were. And I just don't feel like they were like the mortar in between, right? And you take that out, there's going to be cracks. So I'm interested to see how that is fixed and if the wait times and stuff are improved. But I also asked people that were doing scout missions in group queue, and they said they were kicking off matches every like 2 minutes. Like 2 minutes was the max. I'm wondering, what about time zone? Did that sort of dry up later on? Did anybody sit in the group queue for solo scouts and just wait forever? How about the big battles? Like, I don't know. So
Yeah, see, that kind of stuff is weird. I don't know enough, as far as how matchmaking is. Like, I'm hearing people exactly what you just said. Oh my gosh, I was getting in matches immediately, blah, blah, blah. And then I have people saying I couldn't get in a match. I was sitting there for 7 minutes. I don't know if it's a time zone thing. I don't know if it's the team arrangements. But I mean, it's good to hear that people were getting in quickly. I do want to, somebody was saying earlier when we first started talking about this patch, something about an elephant in the room. I want to make sure that we covered that elephant, whatever it might be. So if whoever is in chat that said that, if we didn't talk about what you want to talk about as far as this patch,
what's the
please
elephant?
bring it up. Yeah, give us the elephant. But I'm trying to think of more things that had to do with this patch. Obviously, like we just said, this is a very limited, point of view. It's yours and mine for literally like a day and a half of our experience, which we're doing a lot of other things, not just playing the game for that day and a half. So we don't have a lot. We are trying to get somebody like perhaps Paul for next week for the podcast, so we can talk more, the specifics, the numbers, the design, etc. We'll see. There's been no confirmation on that yet, but also we will have a town hall with Russ soon again. At which point, it'll be a little bit of okay, so this is what phase 3 did, and this is where we're going and so forth. So there will be more in-depth discussion on phase 3 and what it means and where it's going. But this is just our
So
brief.
the long tom is
Yeah,
dire need,
long tom.
which
That's
it's
what I thought.
already. If I'm just looking at these hotfix, so great. Long-term artillery strike damage has been reduced. Long-term artillery strike warning smoke is now larger. So there's that.
Does it say what it's been reduced to? I'm not seeing the.
No, for
Just
those
says
that are
reduced.
wondering, there's a video out there, actually a few videos, and if you watch, basically purple smoke goes out, and if you don't, I don't know if you can get
If
away
you don't
quick enough.
GTFO.
No, I don't know if you can get away quick enough, but
Well, it's a
basically,
radius, but yeah.
yeah, you can get headshot like 200 and some odd meters away, and there's nothing you can do. Doesn't matter how much armor you, just done, you're done. So, obviously, I'm wondering if that's going to be tweaked, how that is effective. Is that intended? Like, do you want people? Obviously, is it one of those things where you decrease head-specific damage and you just increase everything else to where it's just like you just got smacked? I don't know. Haven't participated in that yet, but I've definitely seen the reactions to where you get our long-term artillery and shit starts dying. I do know that. So
Yes, indeed.
Also, we'll be getting into the sort of mercenary contracts. Oh, here's another thing I love, by the way. I know there were some people in chat that actually didn't like this, and I have no reason to hate it. Leaderboards.
Oh yeah,
Fucking tastic. Like, that is amazing.
What is the okay? I've heard 99% positive on leaderboards. People are totally loving it.
That was the only real reason I heard was Epeen. Like, and I didn't feel that way at all.
No, I
Like
don't
last
either.
night, I
Well, of course you're sitting at the top, but yeah, but I
well,
agree.
yeah, but I was in like 15, and I was like, oh yeah, cool. I'm gonna go try to go get Zombear. Like that's my goal. And
Dude, I've been wanting
like
leaderboards. Yeah, it's awesome. I'm totally happy they're in.
filters, yeah, that's fine. That's easy, I'm sure to
That's
implement.
just
But
added.
the
Yeah.
idea to me is, yes, finally we have a leaderboard. Now, the thing that pops in my head when I see this is, could we not have a leaderboard for solo, public queue.
Why not, right?
Now, the only problem, I think we could, just because you could say, well, Phil, that means, a tier one player is going to be going up against tier three. So what? I mean, at the end of the day, guess who would be at top of the leaderboards? Like, a really good player is going to be at the top of leaderboards. So there's that. I don't think that's the only problem is having leaderboards for like group queue, which I don't think you can have just because, again, it goes down to, I think you could have individual performance, but even then that's skewed because of group size and blah, blah, blah.
But I do
So,
think group queue is totally, or group leaderboards, faction leaderboards is totally appropriate for community warfare.
yes.
And I'm loving just getting in there and looking at who's up there.
Yeah.
I think that's a huge thing. I think it's a great start. There's so much more as far as we want, as as data and what we get from.
Well, you know what pops up in my head is actual like, okay, so if you're because loyalist and units, if you're a merc group out there, you now have the potential, sort of like Eve, how I was in Nor, which is efficiency based combat. Like for instance, if you and I don't know if this contract system is going to go this route, but just think about this for a second, to where uh, we're Liao getting our shit kicked in, right? And we need help. And so what we're going to do is we're going to hire some of the best mercenaries out there to help fight for our cause, right? That's how I look at this, where it could potentially go. So your top merc units now could have an efficiency base saying, hey, they're like every single time you can check out each contract they do and see how efficient they were, which is how much damage received, how many mech kills did they lose, you know what I'm saying? And you could go out there and hire some of the best to help you fight for you. When I see this system, that's what I look at, is the potential for efficiency based contracts and mercs being able to, and you may not be able to hire the 1 through 5 or 6 because they're already under contracts getting paid a lot
Right.
of money.
Dude,
But
that kind
then
of stuff I love.
then who do you go for after that? Well then, oh hey, that one unit, man,
The budget
I heard,
mercs.
so I don't
Hey,
know. To me, I think that's really cool.
here's a fix that actually could have potentially been an elephant. Social tab, fix an issue where accessing the social tab would prompt a loading screen. Dude, that was irritating the shit out of me. So glad that's fixed. Just
I,
saying.
I still
Because
that
all we need is more freaking loading,
Russ,
right?
fix it. Like not no, just the entire chat system. Like if
No,
it
I know.
wasn't pertinent enough,
Yeah. We
oh
know that
my
already.
god.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like this can be a nice little quick hot fix, and I'm assuming there may be more before the next patch.
So my overall experiences so far is it's fun. It's not perfect. The scouts, I definitely. Oh, and here's another thing. I feel like the scout mode highlights one of the cool things, that the idea of role warfare, right? Yes, you're just adding a simple cap mechanic, but what if certain chassis, certain light mechs, or maybe even mediums, could see the intel points on their sensors, on their radar, or stuff like that, or where they could escalate to where not always fighting is the right way to go, and it's one of those where I feel like if that could be
Kind of like
expanded
little
on.
cool things added to it, like for example, the Cyclops with its unique little ability, something that could, yeah, I agree. I mean, I think this opens up the potential, lays the groundwork for further development, and perhaps, like you're saying, refining the whole idea of role warfare. I mean, that there's a lot of stuff that I like about this scout missions and the 4x4, and I see a lot of potential for
You know what I
building on
also
it.
like about it is it's 4x4. Like
Hmm.
we haven't seen that
People are liking that.
forever. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's smaller, and
smaller. I mean,
also
people
lights
like
and
8v8
mediums.
too, but yeah.
Yeah.
Now, okay, lights and mediums. I heard some people saying they want it raised to 75. People want heavy mechs in there. I feel, I kind of think I'm good with it being lights and mediums.
Well, look at it this way. You have some clan heavies that can move just as quick as IS mediums, whereas it's not the true for the reverse. I just feel like that's an escalation of power creep. And is that what you want? Now, I think the real underlying tone is I'm sick and tired of street crows, or something like that. I don't know. I'm happy where it's at right now. I think there should be a gameplay incentive, even monetary, if that's what it takes. If you take a 55 tonner, maybe you don't make as much as a 40 tonner. cicadas for life, or I mean, that's the thing is, but it also should be influenced by gameplay. That like, if you're in a locust, add more freaking intel points or something, so locust can just run around and do his thing. I mean, if and that's another thing, reward for capping the intel points. That was actually something that was very lacking, and I think that goes in. It says 1,000 C bills and 50 XP. Now that if let's just say you only get 5 of them, that's only 5,000 C bills. Is that
So that
enough?
could maybe, I think more monitoring, maybe that should go up. We'll see.
Well, I'm just wondering because
I don't know.
is that
So, well, okay, here's a question then, talking about C-Bill's experience or whatever. How did you feel you were doing as far as payouts as compared? Because every single person I talk to, when they're talking about community warfare and the amount of
lower,
C-Bill's
lower across
experience
the
that they
board,
get, yeah.
lower for
So,
the time
so
invested?
same.
No, it was lower, and I feel like
Yeah.
this is another actually big talking
Rewards need to
talking point,
be.
which is if you have look at the end of the day, if you have 24/7 community warfare and you want people to participate, this is the big thing. You know what? You not only do you want people, you need the players in there. Well, guess what? The C build earnings from an hour in group or solo queue and quick play needs to be equal, if not more so, a little bit more in CW, right? Because you're taking away some of that control they have unless you're with the unit. It is there's no monetary incentive. Now, I would say it wouldn't need to be as high if it was CW was like World of Tank style, right? Where it only is only like 3 hour
Scheduled
window,
time each day.
schedule time. Yes. Then you say the group queue is where they're making their money, but
But if you're trying to get
you
people in there,
God, you need how many solo? You need how many groups to participate in this? You
I
have to.
think it just
It,
needs
it
to
needs
be.
it needs to be its own economy. Where you go and you
Well,
can
it
make
needs
just as
to,
much money.
like for example, I've been talking to people, a lot of people in the comp scene now because we're working with the big tournaments and leagues and so forth, and they're saying, look, if we're bringing in new pilots to our group, to our units or whatever, we're going to keep running them in group queue and solo queue because they're going to make more C-bills and get more experience so that we can get them into the mechs that they need to be in order to be competitive. So it's always about the grind for them. It's about the grind for a lot of people. Sure, there's people out there with 100 billion C-bills and everything that they don't need anything more, but there's a lot of people that are new. There's a lot of people that don't have everything, and
But
the grind does matter. So it needs to be at least comparable so that you can run random battles in group queue and make good income and experience, and you can run CW and make good
now
income and experience.
there's only one catch to what I just said. Is I was
Mm,
playing freelancer. I was not
yeah,
playing Merc that makes more
right.
money, so I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
Now granted, I made 1 million C bills in that one CW match I had last night, but it wasn't a scout. It was a regular match. How much time was it? At 20? How much? You know,
Well, so on the reverse, on the flip side, just like you said, you and I were mostly playing freelancer. So again, like I said at the beginning of this, guys, very limited experience. So we don't know what it was like for a lot of Merc and especially loyalists. And there were people messaging us on Skype saying they were making ridiculous money, especially when they bought that tournament booster, and we're making the extra money on top of that. So a little pitch for the tournament booster, but yeah. So I don't know. Maybe you're making equal money, but actually the person that was saying they were making a lot of money still was saying that they'd rather run their unit members through solo queue or group queue because
which
they're going to make more.
which I would say is fine if you were doing the World of Tank style.
Yeah,
If with 24/7 community warfare, how it is right now, just look at it what it is.
yeah,
You
still needs to be
need the
improved.
numbers in there. You need them engaged. And from a developer standpoint, you could be like, well, we don't want them always, or like, we want them to earn their C bills in group queue. Well, then you have to cut the amount of hours they have to spend in CW. Like that's just it.
Yeah.
That's the reality. So, um,
But to be honest, I anticipate numbers changes.
oh yeah,
I've
yeah, yeah.
heard a
Even
lot
the
of
MC,
this
right?
is, yeah, is just placeholder because we're putting a new system out here. We don't want to accidentally give some unit 5 billion MC by accident because something's messed up or whatever. So placeholders, seeing how the economy rolls. It's hard to be patient when it's a live game, but I mean, honestly, all that can happen now is is it can improve and get better. So
I'm interested to hear and/or experience how the loyalty voting
yeah,
system
me
is
too.
working. How is that going? What
Yeah.
needs to be tweaked? On the contract for the mercenaries is actually cool. The percentage boost you get is based on the population of that faction. So you literally may not be making as much money because that population is bloated. Um, it'll be interesting sort of seeing, and one of the problems we were seeing before with CW was units switching to just make more money. Like, what is the actual like tangible reason outside of just C bills? Like, now obviously you could say, well, that will only stretch so far because RP Phil, like you've got some people that are just diehard Davian fans that are never gonna, it is what it is. Well, what if you're a min max or unit that only cares about that? Then you don't really care. You go where the money is. So does that shift populations? Does that help anything? I don't know. It'll be interesting. So there's that. So
I agree.
let's see what else was out there. That I'm wondering if we're going to see more Intel maps or Intel specific. Are we? Obviously they didn't use the CW maps. They used the um, public queue matches. I did hear some people. I reached out to a few people that play CW, and they said CW still sort of feels like a not a grind, but a you're getting channeled. Your lanes,
Yeah,
and
I,
that
I
really
I've heard
hasn't
that as
changed.
well, but I've heard some people that like that. So I don't know. I don't know, man. Yeah, that's a
So
discussion in its own.
I'll give you my feedback once I start participating in that. I mean, I
Yeah.
think the biggest thing for me and you would be, what are we going to do? Are we going to go and embed ourselves with said unit, play for a week or two? Do we want to, sort of grab that sort of, hey, we're going to get the masses, form a merc group, and we're just going to, we're not going to be hardcore. We're just going to be very casual. But what is the structure? What's our mission statement if we were
We're
to
gonna
do something like
casual
that?
hard.
We're gonna casual. We're gonna casual so hard. But yeah, no, it's definitely one of those things where my initial impressions of scout mode is I like it. Room for improvement, yes. The freelancer, I feel like needs a little bit more. Definitely needs to be able to, show them what to do. Also, again, the pop up for call to arms. But I also feel like there's potential, like, know,
Well, what do you think about just getting into a queue for call to arms and saying whatever's the first one pops up,
yeah.
that's the one I want to get in, so that you're not having to sit there and stare and whack a mole when it pops up or whatever. Personally, I'd way rather just jump in a queue.
Yeah, and I think sort of some of that goes back to the same queue population problems, like wait times people were having in group queue. Then your
Right.
question is, are they having solo loyalist queue problems? Like because you have 10 factions, is that something they're running into? And because that's what you're waiting on as a freelancer is just a free spot to open up, So is there how do the numbers look? Is it working behind the scenes? And the big thing here too is when when something like this comes out, now there's actually tangible, real reasons to own planets, right? MC, the monetary really isn't there just yet, but obviously they'll adjust.
Yep.
Is saying how many more new people are going to be coming into CW? How many units out there are saying we, this is worth it? Let's start getting people in. We can play it 24/7, and that sort of goes back to how many people are the units getting active, how many more blood is being poured into the system. Um, but I think this time will tell. The 24/7 battle that me and you talked about, which I've had concerns with, is it sustainable? How does the population is sustainable? And what about time zones? And I think that'll be some stuff to keep an eye out, and then go from there. But
Also, let's see, something popped into my head there. Oh yeah. As far as phase three and 4x4s and kind of bringing more people into the game, Phil and I are going to be working with some YouTubers and streamers here shortly. Probably start kind of diving a little bit into it maybe next week, into the following week or something like that. Waiting for a little bit of these hot fixes to happen, the polish, so we can bring people in and things are more ready. But keep in mind that will be happening. We'll be working with some pretty cool personalities and have some fun with that. So that'll be on top of us playing with you guys in the community, and whether we form our own unit or join yours or whatever. There's going to be a lot of cool stuff happening, definitely.
all right, so we have a Soto game says for someone who doesn't play CW often. I still don't understand how to get into CW quickly or tell when battles are helping. That's one of the things we were
Feel
talking
your
about
pain,
earlier.
Soto. Yeah.
Which I think are a little quick fixes that,
Use the
again,
force.
add to the life expectancy of people participating in. Ordella says you should suggest PGI adds a pop up on login, letting players that don't follow the forums patch notes and about the solo FW option for them. Yep, lots may not know. I think there's a video coming soon. Hopefully, maybe that'll get eyes on. And of course, I think some of the responsibility, at least for me as a player, comes to, and now that I can actually stream it, is streaming it. That's why I focused on it last night for 4.5 hours. I'm going to be focusing on tomorrow for like that. That's
Yep.
why I feel like it's my job too to make sure. Hey, Soto, this is how you do this. Or hey, Soto, you want to know how to go watch this YouTube video from yesterday's stream, and it breaks that down that too. I mean, because at the end of the day, I have, let's just say 150 people watching. I can put up on YouTube and it gets watched by thousands of people. So it's one of those where that sort of helps too. It covers multiple bases. So yeah, it just anyways, overall I like it. Lots of improvement. Looking forward to some of the changes. There was more stuff in the patch itself as far as like gameplay quirk adjustments, this and that, but I feel like in the grand scheme of things, not as big as CW3 and the focus of what the patch, the majority of the meat was. I'll sort of touch on that throughout the week when
Sato had a little experience there. He said, I'm watching the faction chat where they say they're needing one more for scouting. I enter the battle and I'm the only one sitting in the lobby. That actually happened to me quite a few times as well. I don't know, the mechanics behind that and why that happens. I watch the faction chat as well. They say one more on the so-and-so planet. You see the call to arms, you click on it, and yeah, you're the only one sitting there. I don't know.
It basically what
That would
happens,
be a
you'll
question
notice.
for Paul.
Yeah, you notice what happens is sometimes when it happens, you had two people waiting, and they get picked up by something else that was
Right.
fitting, right?
You
And
do see
then
people pop in and out of those groups.
yeah,
So,
and then you're just sort of left in limbo until the next battle on that particular planet is happening. So you're better off just sort of exiting and waiting for the next one because it could
Yeah.
be another planet. But yeah, anyways, just want to say thank you, everyone coming out. We have like 100+ people here. Just want to say, hopefully you guys enjoyed the podcast. Quick shout out to everyone in chat. We had a few new follows to the channel. Appreciate you guys following. And of course, just want to say, if you are new to the channel, make sure to click that follow button down below. That way you guys get email notifications, and check us out on Twitter, Facebook. We'll make sure to get this up on YouTube as soon as possible. And yeah, guys, just want to say thank you guys. Had a great week, great last week, and we'll keep you guys informed on what's going on with the Beard, that guy over there, and family. If he does come out here at the beginning of June, or if it's going to be a little bit later on. And obviously our plans for some of the expansion potentials for NGNG and some of the things we do on a daily basis. But guys, that's going to be it for tonight. Just again, a big shout out to you guys in chat. Thank you for all the new follows, all the new subs. We've had actually quite a bit of subs recently, so quick shout out to you guys for supporting. I'll raise my glass. 1, considering it. 2, following through with it. And of course, if you can't, do not feel pressured. You just being here, that's good enough for us. Thank you, Mech Bros. Raising my glass.
Yeah, thank you for the support, everybody. And hopefully you are liking that Phil and I are, for the most part, back into our regular schedule once a week. I think 2 weeks ago we missed one because of something, but we're enjoying it. And
Yep.
like Phil said, if I get out there to North Carolina, within a month and a half or something like that, who knows what's going to be coming to you and how fast. Of course, we will be getting an office and a studio and have to set that up and everything like that. But the amount of content.
There'd be mech porn everywhere there.
Oh my God, dude.
Like
I have a feeling like if I were to be like driving by the office at 3 a.m, I would see the light on in there, and I probably wouldn't want to peek in the window because what I'd see you doing with all that mech porn around there,
it is what it is. They'd be
also,
watching.
Yeah, no doubt about it. But anyway, it's gonna be really exciting. Thank you everybody that showed up. Rich out there, Zombie Cowboy, Meerkat, Slims, Wiki, Lathomir, Sato, Malgus. Everybody, Pektar, it's awesome. Thank you everybody for your support. We're having a lot of fun with this, and we can't wait to do more. That's the awesome thing about MWO, man. It's just ongoing, going. We got more updates coming, more features, more podcasts, more everything. More.
All right, guys, that is going to be it. Again, my name is Phil. That is Darren, the bearded one, Mama Bear, whatever you want to call him. Quick shout out to everyone in the community. Again, if you are new or if you've been here from the beginning, thank you guys so much for your support. Speaking of support, if you guys want to help support this channel and or what we do with the podcast, there's a few ways you can do it. Number one, just be in chat and being awesome and not being a dick. That goes a long way. Just you guys being here. Two, if you want to become a sub, there's some info down below. You guys get access to emoticons, gizmo, thumbs up, the beard, all that fun stuff. If you just to keep you informed, we do not get all that money. So if you don't want Twitch to get money, we've got a Patreon page, we've got tip jar, all that fun stuff. Again, do what you're able to and or not able to. You just being here is awesome. Just want to say thank you to our Patreons as well. Thank you guys for the support. And that's going to be it. So this was your local No Guts, No Galaxy MechWarrior podcast. Signing off for tonight. This is Phil.
And this is Darren.
Until next time, Mech Warriors. Peace. Then I got to click on the music, and I should have had it ready. And